Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special meeting of the City of Los Angeles Board of Public Works. This is Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021. I hope everyone is doing well. Good morning, Dr. Campos.
Good morning, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing quorum and roll call for today. We have President Good, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Caloza and Villegas. President Good, you do have a quorum at this time. For the record, President Good and also Commissioner Villegas are dialing in remotely from their City Hall office. All other commissioners are dialing in remotely from home. I myself am dialing in remotely from my City Hall office today. We're also joined by our General Counsel, Mr. Ted Jordan, who's dialing in remotely from home. Mr. President, at this time, we currently have one caller on the line under general public comment. We also have one caller on the line for item number 4 for today's special agenda, and we do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section.
Okay. Wait, you said we do have one general public?
One general public and one for number 4.
Got it. Okay, let's go ahead and hear general public comment.
Great. Thank you, Mr. President. Caller ending in 682, caller ending in 682, Dr. Williams, sorry, my apologies, Dr. Tom Williams, if you can please press star 6 at this time to unmute your microphone. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak under general public comment. Please go ahead.
For general public comment, Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council and Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community from the West Side. We had a very, 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 very good experience with the LA Sanitation and Environment group at the distribution of rainwater barrels in East LA. So thank you very much for the barrels. They're very nice. They will be put to good use. The only thing we might add is that it'd be nice to have wheels on them. But we actually do use all of our green barrels. We have 2 for water also, and they're much nicer with wheels on them. Okay, a second part is that we noticed that there was a wildlife habitat section of LA Sand. So we hadn't heard of this one before, and I think they should be connected with the with the CPAC, which meets on Thursday, and we will ask as to what's the difference between wildlife habitat and forestry. So that's all.
Thank you, Dr.
Goodbye.
Williams.
Finish.
All right. Thank you. Great job, Vice President Garcia, on the event. All right, colleagues, we're ready for item 1?
Yes, sir.
All right, item 1 is approval of minutes from Friday, February 19th, 2021. Do I have a second to my motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Any objections, Commissioners Villegas, Caloza, Vice President Garcia?
None for me.
All right. Hearing no objections, the minutes from Friday, February 19th, 2021 are adopted forthwith. Thank you all. That brings us to item 2. Item 2 is the receipt of bids, and we have bids to be received at 10 a.m. This is for, the project is Highway Safety Improvement Program, HSIP, Cycle 6, Olympic Boulevard between Loretta Street and Soto Street, pedestrian crossing safety enhancements, federal project number HSIPL-5006, parenthetical 791, and parenthetical, the work order is E1908084. Estimated cost of the project is $543,000, $543,256, and the project is in CD 14. So we're going to get bids.
Thank you, Mr. President. We will begin to open up the bids. We do have 9 bids in total for this project. Again, this is a jump to District 14 for the Highway Safety Improvement Program Cycle 6. first bid received is from Fame Legacy, that's F-A-M-E, Legacy, for a total bid amount of $627,362.03. That's 627,362.03 from Fame Legacy. For the record, line item 19, 20, 21, and 22 have been lined out by the contractor, and all lines have been initialed. The second bid is from HZS Engineering, doing business as HZS Construction, for a total bid of $645,027.50. That's 645,027.50 from HZS Construction. The third bid is from Electmore Belco Electric Incorporated for a total bid amount of $566,499 each. That's $566,499 from Electmore Belco Electric Incorporated. For the record, line item number 1 and 2 have been lined up by the contractor, and both lines have been issued. The fourth bid received for this project is from Axiom Group for a total bid amount of $874,939.80. That's $874,939.80 from Axiom Group. The fifth bid received for this project is from HYM Engineering Incorporated for a total bid amount of $588,061 even. That's 588,061 from HYM Engineering Incorporated. Next bid, number 6, is from Crosstown Electrical and Data Incorporated for a total bid amount of $605,571 even. That's 605,571 from Crosstown Electrical and Data Incorporated. The next bid, number 7, is from KDC Incorporated, doing business as Dynalelectric LA, for a total bid amount of $640,897 even. That's 640,897 from KDC Incorporated, doing business as Dynalelectric LA. For the record, the total bid amount is whited out. It has not been initialed by the contractor, and we discourage whiteouts, but again, it's $640,897 even. And that's from Dynalelectric LA. The next bid, number 8, is from Access Pacific Incorporated for a total bid amount of $591,633 even. That's $591,633 from Access Pacific Incorporated. The ninth and final bid received for this project is from Los Angeles Engineering Incorporated for a total bid amount of $861,200 even. That's $861,200 from Los Angeles Engineering Incorporated. Mr. President, that concludes the bid openings for today's agenda. We will ask for a motion to open, receive, and declare those bids.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Campos. Thank you, King. All right, do I have a motion to receive these bids?
So move.
Pro Tem Davis, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Any concerns or objections, Vice President Garcia or Commissioner Pelosi? Okay, hearing no objections, these bids are received, and we'll go forward. Thank you all very much. Okay, folks, that brings us to item 3. Item 3 is in CD4. This is property acquisition, temporary construction easement, North Outfall Sewer Rehab Unit 29, Beck to Colfax Avenue, right-of-way number 33944. recommending the board, one, authorize the city attorney, authorize the city engineer or his designee to negotiate and execute all necessary documents for the acquisition of a temporary construction easement affecting real property located at 11800 West Moore Park Street, Studio City, California 91604, also known as Assessor Parcel numbers 2368-001-031 through 259 and 2388-005-014 through 127, as required for the completion of the North Outfall Sewer Rehab Unit 29 back to Colfax Avenue right-of-way number 33944. Two, authorize the director of the Office of Accounting, upon request of the city engineer or his designee, to draw the necessary demands in the amount of $38,600 payable to the Studio Village Homeowners Association to cover the acquisition cost of the TCE needed for the project. Please note, colleagues, that this is actually, I believe this project is actually in CD2 rather than CD4. And so we'll want to amend it if we move forward with that. I believe Uri Jimenez is here with us today. Good morning, Mr. Jimenez.
Greetings, President Good and commissioners. Uri Jimenez,
a very regal background there, Uri.
It's my dining room. It's my temporary workspace. Thank you.
Love it.
Thank you. Uri Jimenez, Chief Real Estate Officer for the Bureau of Engineering. This is, as you know, most of the sewers, the vast majority of the sewers within the city are in public right-of-way. From time to time, the sewers end up under improved properties. This particular one at this location is in a condominium complex. That's why you see all those APN numbers. And what the city, the way the construction is done, when a sewer turns, whenever there's an elbow, if you can imagine that, that's where the pit is dug, so that you could push the pipe in one direction and in the other direction. So normally when pipes turn is where you actually have the pits for the construction or rehabilitating sewers. In this case, the elbow is actually right in the middle of the driveway. Fortunately, it doesn't impact any of the improvements within the condominium complex. It's right in the middle of the driveway where it wouldn't damage anything other than the driveway, which will be repaired in the after condition. And so what we're asking for is, and we negotiated an amount with the condominium complex management company. And that amount is based on an appraisal that we did. The owner got their own appraisal. It was actually pretty close, so we weren't far apart on the numbers. It was pretty straightforward negotiation. And we're going to acquire the TCE for 18 months, which is the duration of the construction, to the benefit of the public. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Colleagues, we'll start with you, Vice President Garcia. Any questions or comments?
Thank you, President Good. Good morning, everyone. Uri, very good report again. I have no questions or no comments at this time. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. I don't have any comments either. It was pretty straightforward. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. President Pro Tem Davis.
Oh, no questions for me.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Closa.
Thanks, President Good. I don't have any questions for Mr. Jimenez. I thought he had a very thorough report. And I agree, your background does look very regal. I think it's the goal. And your red tie.
Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all very much. So do I have a motion to move this item forward?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Closa. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Any concerns, President Pro Tem Davis or Commissioner Villegas?
No
None for me.
concerns.
All right, hearing no concerns, the item is adopted forthwith. Go make your easement acquisition, Ernie.
Thank you.
And Fernando, do I need to redo that and amend it to CB2, or is that just going to show up? You'll just change it in the report.
We will take care of it administratively. We will note it in our journals and also the report itself.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Ernie. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, colleagues, we're gonna move item 4 to later in the meeting. Hopefully, the vendor is going to be joining us. So what we're going to do is go on to item number 5. Excuse me. Item 5 is a street closure in CD15, North Gaffey Street, between the intersections of Westmont Drive and Anaheim Street, Palos Verdes Drive, North Vermont Avenue, Affluent Outfall Tunnel Project. Recommending the board, 1, approve the request for a full closure of North Gaffey Street between the intersections of Westmont Drive and Anaheim Street, Palos Verdes Drive North, Vermont Avenue, for a total of 5 consecutive weekends, only Saturdays and Sundays, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. within a window starting as soon as March 1, 2021 and ending April 30, 2021, subject to the condition identified within this report. And 2, authorize the city engineer and the director of the Bureau of Street Services to administratively approve a separate and additional 1 full night closure if unforeseen conditions delay the start and or completion of this construction. Crystal Lee is with us from BOE. Good morning, Ms. Lee.
Good morning, Board of Commissioners and Bureau representatives. We are asking for the 5 consecutive weekend closure of the intersection of Westmont Drive and Anaheim Street, Palos Verdes Drive North, Vermont Avenue, for 5 consecutive weekends. Just to clarify, it's not multiple intersections. It's typically known in the local area as 5 points because there's 5 different streets that intersect at that location. So really just between the 2 intersections. We are requesting that we have this closure for Saturday and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the window is starting March 1st. The first closure is anticipated this weekend or this coming weekend. And they anticipate less than 5 weeks if possible. But we are also recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to allow, with the Bureau of Street Services, an approval for 1 additional night closure. This project is LA County sanitation project, and they are operating on a 60 to 80-year-old tunnel conveyance system for effluent flow. This system obviously has reached its service life and is well beyond. They are grouting along a 7-mile stretch. About 1 of those miles is along Gaffey Street, which is where we're asking for the closure. And this rehab will help kind of a preventative maintenance to make sure there's no collapses and strengthen the tunnel as it is very old. There are approved worksite traffic detours through our Los Angeles Department of Transportation. We have support from Council District Office 15. We also had the contractor Dragados reach out to the community, not only attending neighborhood council meetings, but sending out to all the local businesses flyers and letters to make sure that the community is aware of these closures. There aren't going to be very many businesses that would be impacted by this closure. The couple businesses that are there, I think there's a like a gas deposit area and an LAPD entrance, and they are both aware. They have also notified LAPD, LAFD, Fire Department, and Port Police of this closure so that they know for emergency access that they should be relocating along these detours. The signage for these detours will reroute traffic along both Western and along the 110 freeway, so it should easily be able to handle any traffic that would have been going along Gaffey. In addition to that, the contractors have allotted for flaggers at both end intersections to allow any through traffic that would need to access those businesses if necessary. So they have not only the safety precautions in place, but also allowing some through traffic as needed. There hasn't been any opposition from the community as far as they've heard from all of their outreach, and the community is in full support of continuing with this project as it goes. The contractor actually has been out there with a couple lane closures since November, and they've completed 77 of the 88 different grouting columns that they'll need to install. So this is just to wrap up the last 11 pieces of their project. And we're not impacting any other adjacent neighboring cities with our detour. The alignment or the detour route of Western is on the border of Palos Verdes, and we are reaching out to them just to notify them that this project will have a little bit of traffic, probably rerouted to Western, but it shouldn't be too much. And that concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Appreciate that. One quick question, and forgive me if you said this. The report says potentially as early as the week of March 1, which was obviously yesterday. The closure hasn't started, correct?
So the closure hasn't started for the full street closure. They currently have 3 lanes closed, and there isn't a board approval necessary for just partial street closure. They do plan to do the full street closure starting this coming weekend.
Assuming it's approved. Got it. That makes sense.
Right.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, ideally 3 weekends, but we're asking for a 5-weekend approval just in case.
Yeah. Okay. President Pro Tem Davis, any questions or concerns? You're muted, Mike. You're still muted.
Okay, can you hear me now? No inquiries for me.
Got it. Thank you. Commissioner Villegas. You're muted.
Yeah, I noticed that. I don't have any questions either. Thank you so much. Ms. Lee, your report was really thorough. No questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Vice President Garcia.
No questions from me either. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Commissioner Closer.
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions for Ms. Lee. I thought she did a really thorough job and appreciate the additional notifications to Palos Verdes since there's going to be potential impacts to their area, though I know minimal. And just appreciate too the additional outreach the contractor did and the bilingual notices in English and Spanish that were included. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I would just echo that too. I'm impressed with the outreach that was done in the collaboration. So thank you. And then also I think it's smart the way you planned out the timing with a little bit of cushion. So it's good. All right. Thank you, Ms. Lee. Do I have a motion to move this forward?
I'll move.
Thank you, Commissioner Closer. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Any objections, President Pro Tem Davis or Vice President Garcia?
No,
None for me.
not for me.
All right, thank you all. So hearing no objections, the street closure is approved and adopted forthwith. Thank you, Ms. Lee. Go forth.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us, folks, to item 6. Item 6 is an authority for expenditure. State Water Resources Control Board, Bureau of Sanitation, Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $59,938 to pay for annual waste discharge permit requirement fees for the period of October 1, 2020 to September 30, 2021. Authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute this service agreement. This is AE 215-11132M, Fund 511, Stormwater Pollution Abatement Fund, Department Number 50, Appropriation Unit 50T517. Is Sam Chen here with us for this one?
Yes. Good morning, President Good, Commissioners, Bureau Representative, and Dr. Campos. I'm Sam Chen with LACN Financial Management Divisions. I'm here today to request again board approval and executions for AFE in the amount of $59,938 to pay for annual stormwater discharge permit fees and for the period of October 1st, 2020 to September 30th, 2021. And this amount will come out of Fund 511 Stormwater Pollution Abatement Fund. And I'm here to answer any questions regarding this AFE. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. Any questions, colleagues? Vice President Garcia?
Thank you, President Good. Sam, thank you for your report. Question, is this about the same amount we paid last year?
This amount changes every year, just a little bit. This is the cost recovery for the state to run the program. So every year it differs a little bit. Some years it's the same. Some years more, some years are less.
Do you have an idea what we paid last year? Was it less?
Yes. With your permission, do you mind if I present you a historical amount we pay every year for the last 8 years?
Sure. I mean, if the commissioners, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Host disabled. Oh, well, it for some reason it's disabled, but it's okay. So last year we paid $56,921. So it's about $3,000 less last year.
Okay, sounds about right. That's a good jump, or not jump, but just increase. It's not bad of an increase from last year to this year. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Cuellar.
I don't have any questions for Mr. Chen. I thought we paid this bill already. Or maybe I'm just thinking of a different Water Resources Control Board. But I don't have any questions for you.
Did we pay the regional water board, Mr. Chen? I think that's what we actually paid. Yeah, there's...
No, I think I know there are some other state water resource control board fees, but I'm not aware of it. This is the annual fee we pay every year around this time.
Okay. Thank you. President Pro Tem Davis?
Yeah, thank you so much for the report. Just curious in terms of how we get assessed, how are the measurements for assessment? Does it have to do with the amount of water in which we consume and process, or is it based upon a rate per year or per section of time in which we do it? Do you happen to know what the measurements are in terms of how we are assessed the fee?
Unfortunately, I don't have I don't know how the fee was calculated. But like I said, it was for the cost recovery for State Water Resource Control Board to run the program. I know this is for MS4 permit, and then this fee we pay every year.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
President Good, this is Ted. So, and Commissioner Closa, we have a number of fees that get paid that at the first blush look fairly similar. I think maybe what you could be thinking of are some of the fees that we've paid that are associated with our water reclamation facilities. This is, as staff has indicated, it's part of our MS4 permit. That's our stormwater. So it's separate from the permitting that we get that is associated with our wastewater reclamation facilities, the sewage treatment plants, as it were. So there's a number of different permits that the city has because we have the sewer system and then we have the stormwater system. This one is for the stormwater system. MS4 is the municipal separate storm stream.
That is a great, important, and spot-on distinction, Ted, that easy for us to sort of lose sight. We just get the AFEs coming in. But I think that's right. I think that's what it was on the water reclamation. Okay. Commissioner Villegas, any questions? Thanks, Ted.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jordan, for that clarification. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. All right. Do I have a second then to my motion to move this forward?
I'll second that.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. President Pro Tem Davis, any concerns? Commissioner Closa, Vice President Garcia?
No concerns for me.
No questions for me.
All right. Hearing no objections or concerns, the item is adopted and moved forward forthwith. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Mr. Chen.
Thank you, President Gray.
And by the way, as everyone knows, we didn't amend it. This is not subject to the mayor's cost containment process for a myriad of reasons, actually. That brings us to item number 7. Item number 7 is another authority for expenditure, YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles. Bureau of Sanitation and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $320,000 to encumber funds to pay for utilization of various hygiene facilities for unsheltered residents for the term of July 1, 2020 to August 30, 2020. Authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute this service agreement. AE 211-00011M Fund 100 General Fund, Department number 82, Appropriation Unit 003040. This is related to homelessness, so it would not be subject to the mayor's cost containment process, folks. I believe Mr. Potter is with us today to present on this. Good morning, Mr. Potter.
Good morning, President Good, Commissioners Garcia, Davis, Caloza, and Villegas, Executive Officer, City Attorney, and Bureau Representative, which would be me, I guess. I'm Robert Potter, the Division Manager for Support Services Division in LA SAN. This AE, LA SAN is requesting authorization for the authority of expenditure to pay the YMCA Metropolitan Los Angeles for the utilization of 9 hygiene facilities to be available to unsheltered residents during the period of this COVID-19 emergency, which at this time, which was originally expected to be 3-4 months, which has now been 1 year, actually, almost to the day now. The County Department of Health and the Center for Disease Control provided us guidelines for basic hygiene practices, which includes our vulnerable unsheltered residents. The YMCA has agreed for LA SAN to utilize the showers, bathrooms, and locker rooms at 9 of its facilities, which are all listed within the LOA that's attached here. LA SAN inspected the facilities conditions prior to the use and will repair any damages caused to the facilities during the use and return each facility in a safe and clean condition comparable when LA SAN began utilizing the facility. The participants in this program will be utilizing a facility, will have to sign a release form against the YMCA and the city, as well as agree to the program rules. The participants' temperatures and conditions will be screened, such as a temperature over 104 degrees will not be allowed to utilize the facility. The YMCA to this date has provided 57,821 showers to our most vulnerable population. Each facility will maintain operating hours between 9 and 2 p.m. Monday through Friday, and LA SAN will pay the YMCA $20,000 per month per facility. The total for this is $360,000 for the 2 months that we're discussing here. This is an impact on the general fund and will be paid through Fund 100, Department 82, Object 304. These funds are from the COVID-related funds approved by the mayor's office. If anybody has any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you, Bob. We'll open it up. Vice President Garcia, any questions?
Good morning, Bob. How are you? No, I do not have any questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. President Pro Tem Davis?
No, it was a pretty thorough, detailed report. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Closa?
Thank you, President Good. Well, Mr. Potter, thank you for your report. I'm just curious if we've seen like any increases or decreases to the use of the facilities over the course of the past year. I know it was a lot higher in the beginning. Just curious if any of it has changed as some of the state and the county has started to reopen in the past weeks.
So as we rolled out the program, it was a slow process. So we were utilizing DOT. We were doing some transportation of people to the facilities, and it was probably slower in the beginning. Right now, I would say that we've had a pretty level participation rate. So we've seen that most of the unsheltered population is aware of these and are utilizing them on a regular basis. So we have pretty much a repeat clientele, and the numbers are staying pretty consistent for the last 3 to 4 months.
And then just curious, I know, we're working closely with YMCA on this. Have we made any changes or adopted any new practices over the course of the last few months as a result of, changes of anything that you've all learned, operating a new model for how we've kind of provided these services to our unsheltered communities?
So I would say no. I'd say we came out pretty good with a really detailed outlined procedure that didn't need much modification because it's a pretty straightforward program. People show up, they sign a waiver, they get checked. If they meet the requirements, they utilize the facility, and then they leave. I think the one thing that we have done through the process is tried to see what additional services YMCA, that's part of their daily operations can provide, which included adding some, takeaway meals for some of the unsheltered also. So there was some enhancements to it. But as for the protocols related to the actual facility and the showering, it's pretty much the same as it was from day one.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Potter. Appreciate LA San taking on this additional work during the past year in this partnership with the Y. So I don't have any other questions, President Good.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. Commissioner Villegas, any questions?
Thank you. I don't have any questions. I just also wanted to echo Commissioner Colosa's sentiment. I do appreciate LA San doing this from the beginning. I know it was really just pulling it all together, and it's just a little cumbersome, but it's, with the mayor's help, with his staff. I know Janice Murray's been helping out a lot as well, and just giving us the weekly numbers, just by doing a quick scan of those, it seems like, it's been really steady. And there's, good participation. So it's just, just outreach, and like you said, just the continuous walk-ins and repeats that we get. I don't have any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Yeah, it's a great program. I remember from the outset. One quick question I do have, Bob. So this is just the AFE to pay for last June and July? Is that what?
This is for July and August of 2020.
July and August of 2020. And so I know we've talked about this, but you'll keep coming back periodically to pay.
Yeah. Yes, because I love coming back. So I will be back at least 2 more times to encumber the funds for the I think September through December, and then there'll be another one from January through March.
Okay. Yeah, and I know you love doing reports too, so that's good. Appreciate that. All right. Do I have a motion to approve this AFE?
So
all right. I've got 2 seconds. President Pro Tem Davis and Commissioner Villegas. And then any concerns or questions, Vice President Garcia or Commissioner Colosa?
None for.
All right. Hearing no objections, this authority for expenditure is adopted and approved forthwith. Thank you, Bob.
Of course. Everybody have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too. All right. Ethan Wong comes on the screen. I know what that means. That means item number 8. Item number 8 is a bid withdrawal. Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant Headworks Fire Sprinkler System Replacement Capital Improvement Project 2466. Recommending the board withdraw the advertising of the project and move that the city engineer return to the board to re-advertise the project at a later date. Mr. Wong is with us. Hello, Ethan. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. Good morning, everyone. This is Ethan Wong with the Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. So the motion before you is to request the withdrawal of the advertisement of our our CIP project 2466, which is a project that will basically replace the existing fire sprinkler system at our Headworks building at the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant. The current fire sprinkler system is nearing the end of service life, so that's the importance of this project. Unfortunately, due to revenue impacts from the COVID-19 pandemic, funding is not quite available yet for this project. So we are requesting withdrawal of the advertisement at this time, but we expect that we will be back in the next few months to re-advertise this project once funding is made available. The current system is still operational, so there is no issue with delaying the bidding of this project for a few months. Be happy to answer any questions regarding this motion at this time.
All right. Thank you, Ethan. Any questions, Vice President Garcia?
No questions from me. Thank you.
All right. Any questions, Commissioner Villegas?
None for me either. Thank you.
All right. Any questions, President Pro Tem Davis?
None for me, Mr. President.
Okay. And Commissioner Coloso?
No questions for me. Thank you, Mr. Wong.
Okay, so that's pretty cut and dry. I have no questions either. Do I have a motion to move this forward?
I'll move.
Thank you, Commissioner Coloso. Seconded by President Pro Tem Davis. Concerns or questions, Garcia or Villegas?
None for me.
All right. Hearing none, the item is adopted and approved forthwith. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.
All right, colleagues, that brings us to item 9. This is specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids. It's a project in CD5. This is West Side Unit 4, high voltage conversion, fiscal year 2020-21. Work order L2049455, estimated cost $2,586,000. Bid receipt date will be April 14, if approved, April 14, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve and authorize the advertisement of this project for bidding?
I'll move.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Concerns or objections, Commissioners Coloso or Villegas?
None for me.
All right. Hearing no objections, this item is adopted forthwith, and the invitation for bids will go out. All right. Item number 10. Item number 10 is a communication for a release of stop payment notice. Robertson's is transmitting a release of stop payment notice in the amount of $3,222.71 for furnishing ready-mix concrete, rock, and/or sand materials in connection with the North Spring Street Bridge Phase 2 project. The primary contractor for this project is United Engineering and Construction, Inc. C131885, communication number 122493, filed on February 24th, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve this release of stop payment notice?
So move.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, 2 seconds. Vice President Garcia and Commissioner Villegas. Any concerns, Commissioner Coloso?
None.
All right, hearing no concerns, this release of stop payment notice is approved and adopted forthwith. That brings us to another release stop payment notice from Robertson's. Robertson's is transmitting a release of stop payment notice in the amount of $3,425.28 for furnishing ready-mix concrete, rock, and/or sand materials in connection with the emergency sewer and storm drain repair 5179 Remstoy Drive project. Primary contractor for this project is Valley Construction. This is C-130416, communication number 122494, filed on February 24th, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve this release of stop payment notice?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Any concerns, Vice President Garcia, Commissioner Closet?
None for me.
All right, this release of stop payment notice is approved and adopted forthwith, and that brings us to our last release of stop payment notice for Traffic Loops Crack Filling, Inc. Traffic Loops Crack Filling, Inc. is transmitting a release of stop payment notice in the amount of $38,898.73 for furnishing work, labor, services, equipment, or material of the kind generally described as installed for temporary and permanent Type D, Type E, and bike loop detectors in connection with the Machado Lake Pipeline Project. The primary contractor is my Boogaloo Construction Company, Inc. C-128781, communication number 122495, filed also on February 24th, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve this release of stop payment notice?
Move.
Thank you, Commissioner Closer. And do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. And any concerns, Commissioner Villegas or President Pro Tem Davis?
None.
None for me.
All right. Hearing no concerns, this release of stop payment notice is approved and adopted forthwith. That brings us back to item number 4. Dr. Campos, do we have folks shown up or no?
They have not, but I'm very comfortable with moving the item or presenting the item to your board at this time.
Okay. So item 4, folks, our last item for the day. Personal Services Contract, Alvarez and Marsal, Public Sector Services, LLC, Southern California Gas Company Franchise Public Right-of-Way Value. Recommending the board, subject to approval by the mayor, 1, approve the proposed personal services contract between the City of Los Angeles and Alvarez and Marsal Public Sector Services, LLC, A&M, for a term of 6 months at a not to exceed cost of $368,000 to conduct a valuation study and analysis of the Southern California Gas Franchise Public Right-of-Way Value. And 2, authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the proposed personal services contract between the city and A&M, subject to approval of the city attorney. Dr. Campos, are you presenting on this?
Mr. President, I'm going to actually let our interim patrolman administrator, Ms. Erica Blyther, present the item for you, and I'll be here for any questions that your board may have. Just as a reminder, we also have one caller on the line under public comments. Would you like to take that first or hear the presentation?
Thank you for the reminder, Dr. Campos. Good morning, Ms. Blyther. Thank you. And I see Tania Isagita is here with us from the City Attorney's Office as well. Good morning, Tania. Yes, Dr. Campos, let's go ahead and hear your public comment on the item.
Great. Thank you, Mr. President. Caller ending in 682, caller ending in 682, if you can please press *6 at this time to unmute your microphone. Dr. Williams, the board is now considering item number 4. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak on this item.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Tom Williams, item number 4. The biggest issue is Southern California Gas Company. I have had direct consulting responsibilities with CPUC and others regarding the gas company. In Montebello, we closed down the field and disallowed any future work by CPUC and Southern California Gas Company because they had bought 15 houses because there were wells under the houses that were rendering the houses unsuitable. They bought them on the side and were later fined $5 million for having bought them without getting CPUC approval. The Playa del Rey field, big problem. 2 flares one time a couple years ago. Oh, no, we only had 1 flare. Photographic evidence showed 2 flares. And we also finally got enough information for CPUC to allow purchase of some houses. Alicio Canyon, the U.S. worst gas blowout. SS-25 well was supposed to have a subsurface shutoff valve. Oh, but they took that out in 1979. And all of their engineers that logged the well for over 30 years had falsified the records submitted to the gas company and to the state regulatory requirements. So my concern is, can you trust anything that comes out of the gas company's response to any sort of pipeline surveys? We would highly recommend that a Pecora methane survey be done of all subject gas pipelines bigger than 4 inches. So you get what you pay for and you enforce. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. All right. Ms. Blyther, good morning.
Good morning. And so thank you all. Good morning, commissioners and department representatives. Just want to give some background. In 1992, the city adopted ordinance, actually I hear some static.
Ms. Blyther, can you hold on 1 second?
Sure.
If anyone other than Erica doesn't have their phone on or their screen on mute, can you please put it on mute? I'm getting feedback. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Right, sorry. Just continuing with background. In 1992, the city adopted ordinance number 168164 to grant the Southern California Gas Company a 21-year pipeline franchise to install, construct, replace, reconstruct, repair, and retain its gas system in streets located in the city, including maintenance and operations. In 2019, $18 million was paid to the city based on 2% of gross receipts from selling and distributing natural gas within the city. Since 1992, many things have changed, including the emergence of the Street Damage and Restoration Fund, which SoCalGas does not currently pay into. The city has extended the franchise agreement year by year without changes until a new agreement can be negotiated. Under the most current ordinance, which is number 186821, which the Board of Public Works approved in 2020, you can see transmittal number 1, this franchise currently expires December 31st, 2021, but can be extended one more time with an absolute max ending date of December 31st of 2022. Franchise negotiations over the years have been complicated by a number of factors, including the case of Jacks et al. Versus the City of Santa Barbara. On June 29, 2017, the California Supreme Court decided the matter of Jacks et al., and the outcome of which has significant impacts on the terms to be negotiated. The ruling requires an expert determination of the value of the franchise agreement, and that includes a two-part test. And the two-part test is to negotiate in good faith, and 2, to specify that the franchise fee must be reasonably related to the value of the franchise and cannot exceed any reasonable value of the franchise. Based on the second part of the test, the Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas, in collaboration with several city offices, including the city attorney, the chief legislative analyst, the city administrative officer, and various other city departments, determined the criteria needed for a third-party financial valuation study of the franchise agreement to capture the reasonable value of the franchise. Based on these discussions and input, Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas drafted a proposed scope of work for franchise agreement valuation. So the franchise agreement valuation is to provide an expert determination of the reasonable cost of the SoCalGas franchise pipeline, incorporating the 2016 Controller's Audit recommendations. We've said this before, but I can summarize. Over the years, the Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas has made several efforts to seek a qualified franchise valuation. In 2019, we released an RFP. There was one bid that was received through an evaluation team with members of Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas and CLA. The proposal was deemed to be non-responsive. In January of 2020, we tried a new process working with the Bureau of Engineering's approval process. There were no bids received. The single person who was interested at the previous conference was concerned about conflicts of interest, and our funds were swept in July 1st of 2020. In July, we started working with the Senate Administrative Officer, and we chose to use their bench. They have a 7-entity panel that was formed after 13 entities submitted their qualifications. And this was released by LA Babin, or Los Angeles Business Systems Virtual Network number 32450 on January 31st, 2018. As part of this process, it was released on August 13th, 2020, and we had a deadline of September 8th, 2020. That's trend number 2. We did receive one bid from Alvarez and Marcel, and they responded by that date. We had another three-member panel, that had staff from the Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas, as well as the Executive Officer for the Board of Public Works and the CAO to review the bid. This proposal was deemed responsive on November 9th of 2020. Alvarez and Marcel is an out-of-state company which has experience in conducting this type of evaluation. Alvarez and Marcel is also an international full-spectrum consulting firm established in 1983, has more than 5,000 professionals globally, and has expertise in managing complex operating and political environments in large governmental organizations like the City of Los Angeles. A&M has experience in evaluation practices, understands the public sector operating environment, understands how government operates, possesses expertise to reach a final franchise agreement, and has a proven track record in leading evaluation work and serving other public sector clients nationwide. We anticipate that the evaluation determination will take an additional 5 months from execution of the contract, so tentatively August of 2021, which is expected to allow 3 to 4 months for negotiations with SoCalGas before the current franchise expires. Tasks that A&M is proposed to conduct are to develop a reasonable evaluation test and method to determine the reasonable value of the SoCalGas utility franchise from multiple valuation approaches, including land value, commodity pricing, pipeline and associated operating costs, access to city territorial customers, access to adjacent customer markets, stock market valuation, book value, earnings, gross revenue, lease value, abandonment costs, and any other industry-specific base financial valuations. They will also collect and analyze data needed for the valuation, such as growth factors, cost escalation factors, infrastructure inventory, assets, and the practices and payment structures of other public agencies. They will evaluate and provide recommendations that acknowledge the 2016 City of Los Angeles Controller for Audit recommendations, and key deliverables will be conducting a benchmarking performance analysis, developing recommendations and options, developing a roadmap or action plan, a written report, interaction with city staff, and public meeting attendance. So as far as business inclusion program, due to the limited duration of the proposed work, the Board of Public Works requested an exemption for the Mayor's Office as it relates to the Executive Directive number 14, Business Inclusion Program. On September 25th of 2019, the Mayor's Office approved the Business Inclusion Program waiver due to the lack of subcontractors for this study. And that's transmittal number 3. The proposed contract is for a term of 6 months, and the proposed contract ceiling is $368,000. There's a slight typo on the board letter, and under the status of funding, it was the Board of Public Works that approved the Public Works Trust Fund on February 2nd, and that loan has to be repaid in a single balloon payment by June of 2023. On February 10th of 2021, the Public Works and Gang Reduction Committee agreed with that and moved it forward. And on February 23rd, the council adopted the item forthwith, and it's been transmitted to the mayor's office, and the last day for the mayor to sign is March 5th of 2021. I'd request that you could approve the proposed personal service contract for Alvarez and Marcel, and this again for a term of 6 months at a not to exceed cost of $368,000 to conduct an evaluation study. And I would also ask that you authorize the president of the Board of Public Works and/or 2 commissioners to execute the proposed personal services contract, subject to approval of the city attorney. And I believe that we have had a representative from A&M join, and that they're on the line.
They are. Mr. Chilakapati is on the line should your board have any questions from A&M.
Thank you, Ms. Blather. Colleagues, let's open this up. President Pro Tem Davis, any questions?
None for me on this item.
All right, thank you, sir. Commissioner Coloso.
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your presentation, Ms. Blyther. I know we briefly touched on this during your last update to the board, but I'm really glad this is before us today. I know it's taken you 3 tries to get a response from a contractor that has experience doing this. Maybe if I could just kind of get some additional clarification from you. So the last time that the city really revisited this and you know, we've been essentially stuck with what the actual franchise value was for over like 28 years now. Is that correct? So we've been collecting the same fees for almost 3 decades now.
And we're still operating under the same franchise agreement from 1992, and it's percent gross receipts. And so, but it's based on that understanding of the 1992. And as I mentioned, Street Damage Restoration Fund has emerged, and SoCalGas does not currently pay into it. So there are other types of things that have come along too.
Got it. So it's, you know, a lot of opportunity here in terms of, you know, things that we need to account for in inflation and other impacts to the community. I know I was looking through the specific tasks that our contractor would be responsible for, but I'm curious, also after hearing Dr. Williams' feedback, but is there going to be something in the evaluation around kind of a community reinvestment? I know we have kind of similar set-asides, if you will, for other programs, especially since anything related to, of course, as we know, oil and gas is one of great interest to the community, and we know that the long-term impacts to certain neighborhoods and communities. But is that something that could potentially be part of the franchise negotiation or part of this value evaluation?
Yes, so that's the second part of this, is to actually have the negotiations once the evaluation is complete. And I think we're looking at a broad number of people to work with us on the negotiation process. And we're going to look at things like community benefits and the environment and more safety recommendations. As everyone's aware of, a lot of safety concerns related to Aliso Canyon and things related to that. So that is something we'll be considering, but I'll specifically note community reinvestment is something to include.
Got it. Thank you for confirming that. I'm glad to hear. And then just for the timeline, so this is 6 months. That is not a lot of time to do this very complicated study. I know you know that more than anybody. And just to kind of go full circle on the timeline here. So the study will complete in like around August, September. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And perhaps Alvarez and Marcel's representative could speak to that a little bit. We discussed this earlier, but Shandu, if you're on the line, if you'd like to speak to the schedule a little bit.
You're on mute.
Sure.
Oh, there is. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. Yes, so we have a team ready to go. We've been working through this and on this proposed plan for a few months now. So we have a team ready to go. We believe that we can meet the deadline for August, assuming that we have the approval to start fairly soon. And by soon, kind of in the next 2 weeks is what we have targeted.
Got it. And while we have you here, Shandu, thank you for joining us. Can you speak a little bit about kind of past experience that your company has had in performing these types of studies, just for our awareness?
Yeah, we are actually, I run the valuation services practice at Alvarez and Marcel, and so we complete hundreds of valuation reports annually. And specifically, we've worked on, my background is in the energy space. I'm based in Houston. And so probably 80% of my valuation reports relate to oil and gas companies. And specifically, I've worked on other public service, public sector projects, specifically with California as well, and litigation against BP, which is included in our RFP, our response. But we believe that we have the team and bench strength to get this done in that time frame, given our history with valuing energy assets and contracts.
Thank you for that additional context and background. And I'm sorry if you faced any of the weather perils in the past few weeks in Texas. I know you guys have had your own series of weather, inclement weather and snowstorms, if you will. So I'm glad to see you have some internet now. And I think a final question for me before I yield the rest of my time, it's for Ms. Blyther. So after we approve this item today, you would then return to board in August, September to then share the findings with us. Would that be the next step process-wise?
I believe so. That's totally. I believe that's fine. I think that's going to be a publicly available report because SoCal Gas will be able to see that report too, and then we can discuss that as part of the negotiation. I'm not sure exactly the timeline of Board of Operations when it would come to the board versus SoCal Gas as part of the negotiations, but I believe at some point, yes, it would come to the board. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Campos.
Commissioner Caloza, that's an excellent question. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer with the Board of Public Works. We will consult with our attorney in regards to what we can release publicly. This is going to be a critical document that would basically provide us a framework as to what we can and cannot negotiate during our negotiation sessions. So once we get this strategy, or once we get the valuation study, we will consult with our attorneys. We will build the team that Ms. Blyther had indicated, bringing experts across the entire city from planning, from CLA, the CAO's office, the mayor's office, and then ultimately to our new patrolman administrator that we are looking to hire soon, relatively soon. So once we have all that in place, then we will determine what can and cannot be released to the general public and also to SoCal Gas. So again, in short, we'll consult with our attorney as to what can and cannot be released.
Okay. Got it.
And ultimately, yeah, I'm sorry, Commissioner, and ultimately, the proposed ordinance or the proposed new ordinance for SoCal Gas will come before your board for consideration. So we have to be very careful as to what this board has access to before that ordinance is before your board for consideration.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying. It was more of like a process question of like at what point does this return to the board for further action. But what you said makes sense, and I know that negotiations are sensitive for this matter. So thank you for that additional context. I don't have any further questions on this item. Thank you, President Good.
Thank you, Commissioner Caloza. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. I appreciate Commissioner Caloza's questioning, and that's all. I don't have any questions of my own. I thought Caloza did a great job in really laying out some of the next steps, and not only that, but the community benefit part is probably one of the things that are important to us. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you, Ms. Blyther, for that report. And I'm glad that folks from the Alvarez and Mercer firm are here to answer questions. I don't have any questions. I also appreciate Commissioner Caloza's questions just for additional context. I'd just be interested in seeing, the report. And I'm sure you're working, I think you mentioned that you're working with the county, staff as well, just on seeing that they're going through something, I'm not going to say similar, but just some aspects of it are. So I'm glad that that'll be incorporated. And I don't have questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. And as a reminder to folks, one of the other key next steps, which frankly we need to happen as soon as possible, is full council will consider the report from the Council Public Works Committee to approve our loan from the Public Works Trust Fund to the general fund to pay for this, which after that we should be in good shape. Dr. Campos.
Mr. President, just for the update that Ms. Blyther indicated, Council did take action on it on February 23rd, so we're now waiting for the mayor to approve that loan approval that's due March the 5th. So by the end of this week, if the mayor approves it, then we can move it forward. If he does not make an action, it automatically is deemed approved as of March the 6th. So this item before you runs in parallel with the Public Works Trust Fund loan that's going to fund this service that we're proposing before you. So we think that it's going at the right track at the right time, concurrent with each other. And so within the next week or two, hopefully everything will come together and we can kick this project off.
You know what? Ms. Blyther actually told me that, and I'm an old man who forgets things. Thank you, Dr. Campos, and thank you, Ms. Blyther. And thank you, Shandu, for joining us from Houston. I'm a reformed Texan, so I hope you're doing okay there. All right, so I will motion to approve this item. Do I have a second?
It's amended, Mr. President, as amended to reflect the changes on page 5 of the report as Ms. Blyther read into the record.
Okay, oh, that's right. So I will motion to approve the item as amended. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Any questions, concerns, or epiphanies? President Pro Tem Davis, Commissioners Colosa or Villegas?
No concerns or epiphanies on my behalf. Thank you.
All right, hearing no objections, the item is adopted forthwith. Thank you very much, Shandu. We look forward to your work. Thank you, Ms. Blyther. Thank you, Dr. Campos. And with that, Dr. Campos, have we cleared the deck?
Yes, you have.
All right. Having cleared the deck, this item is officially adjourned. Thank you, folks. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
Thanks.